Welcome to the Ultimate Frisbee Captain's Meeting. The performance bond is due by 5 p.m. on September 18th. Checks can be made payable to the trustees of the University of Pennsylvania for $100. Place the check in envelope, write the team name, captain's name, and sport on the front of the envelope. Drop it off in the membership office, which is located on the first floor in Pottruck. A confirmation will be sent to you once the check is received by the intramurals office. Teams sponsored in college house leagues do not need to submit a performance bond. Captain's responsibilities. Captains must understand and follow all recreation sports policies, rules, and guidelines. They are responsible for team conduct and know that the team may pay the price for any individual's actions. They must also relay rules to the team, and ignorance of the rules is not an excuse. Captains must notify teammates when games and playoffs are, and they must inform staff by 5 p.m. the day before for a default. Also, it is considered a forfeit if no notice is given or after 5 p.m. the day before. Player responsibilities. All players must bring pen ID with them to all contests. Players cannot change teams once the first contest is played, and teams can add players up through the last regular season game. Players must play one game to be eligible for playoffs. No smoking, drug, or alcohol use is allowed, and this includes e-cigs and other vapor products. Also, no food or sunflower seeds are allowed on the field. In case of ejection, players must leave the facility immediately and meet with IM staff and have consequences determined. Policies. A forfeit will happen if a team has less than 6 players checked in by game time. Game time is game time. There's no grace period. The first forfeit will disqualify you from playoffs. The second forfeit will result in being dropped from the league. 2 defaults will result in disqualification from playoffs, and you must send a message via email or phone call about default by 5 p.m. the day before a scheduled game. All players must check in with event staff before they take the field. Rosters. 7 players need to be on the roster to be scheduled. Rosters must be submitted by Wednesday, September 18th at 5 p.m. Players must be on the IM League's roster by 4:30 p.m. the day of your game. You can show staff on your phone that you're on the roster, but it's your responsibility to check in time. All players must take and pass the players' quiz. There are no roster limits. However, teams can only check in 16 players per game. Attire. Players must wear closed-toed athletic shoes, and this does not include metal cleats. They must also wear athletic shorts without pockets. No jewelry is allowed, and the only acceptable headwear is headbands. Sportsmanship ratings. A supervisor on shift will give a rating of 0 to 4 for teams that played. Teams must have a 3.0 rating at the end of the regular season in order to be eligible for the playoffs. Sportsmanship rating guidelines. For 4 points, there's above average conduct and sportsmanship. The players cooperate with officials and team members, and the captain calmly converses with officials and has full control of the team. For 3 points, team members verbally complain about some decisions made by the officials and/or show minor dissension that may cause one or multiple warnings. For 2 points, team members show verbal dissent towards officials, supervisors, and/or the opposing team, which may or may not result in warnings, and the captain exhibits minor control over his/her teammates or himself/herself. A team that has a player ejected will receive no higher than a 2 rating. For 1 point, there's poor conduct and sportsmanship. The team members continuously dispute the officials' calls or abusively speak to the officials or opposing team. The captain has little control over self or team. For 0 points, team is completely uncooperative. Captain has no control over teammates and/or himself/herself. Any team causing a game to be forfeited or receives multiple ejections and warning shall receive a 0 rating. Playoffs. All teams with a winning percentage above 500 will automatically be taken. The exceptions are the following. There's more than 1 default, there's 1 team forfeit, a sportsmanship rating below 3, or forfeit ejections due to sportsmanship. Teams with a record 500 or worse will only be taken if it evens out the playoff bracket. For example, there are 7 eligible teams with a record of 500, so the top eligible team at 500 or below would be the 8th team taken. Teams will not be allowed to add any new players to their rosters for the playoffs. In order to be eligible for the playoffs, a player must have participated in at least 1 regular season match. Teams that default more than 1 game will not be eligible for playoffs. Gameplay. Games are held in Franklin Field and are self-officiated. Scores are reported to the event staff working that field. Games are played to 7 points, and halftime occurs when one team reaches 4 total points. The 10-second stall begins once the offensive player's momentum is stopped. No contact is allowed. Ejection will be called by event staff for unnecessary roughness. A point is scored when the disc is caught within the goal boundary lines. Disallowed goals are the following. The player catches the disc prior to crossing the goal boundary, then running into the goal boundary. This is the momentum rule. If this occurs, take one pace from the goal line into the field, tap the disc on the ground, and resume play. Also, if the player catches the disc while touching the out-of-bound lines on the sides of the playing area. In conclusion, you're responsible for learning the rules and relaying them all to your team. For questions or concerns, please refer to the contact information below at any time.